Hey, what's up guys, it's Dark Armed Duelist Integrity doing a Teledad deck profile. So I'm really excited to do this for you guys because this deck summons out my favorite monster of all time, Dark Armed Dragon. Now I've included all sorts of spicy tech cards in this build for you guys, so without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell in there so you can become part of Notification Squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome rewards, like getting your name description in every single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Dark Armed Dragon. This card is my favorite card of all time, and it's super easy to summon in this deck. This card has the ability, if there's exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon this card from your hand. It has an absolutely insane effect that you can banish a dark monster from your graveyard to be able to destroy a card on the field, which is absolutely insane. That is a super good effect because it is not once per turn, so you can pop multiple cards on the field as long as you have dark monsters in the graveyard, which is absolutely insane. We then play 3 copies of Bestial Magnamut. Magnamut is a really good card in this deck because it has the ability that it can actually search Dark Armed Dragon. This card has the ability that you can target a light or a dark monster in either player's graveyard and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And this is a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, which is absolutely insane. And if this card is special summon, then you can activate this effect that during the end phase of this turn, you get to add a dragon monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, except another copy of this card, which is really good for this deck because you get to search out Dark Armed Dragon off of Magnamut's effect. I then play a single copy of Bestial Druiswurm. Druiswurm is a really good one-of, but you only really need a single copy of this card. This card has the same effect as your copy of Magnamut, that you can target a light or a dark monster in either player's graveyard and banish it, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand. And it's a quick effect if your opponent controls a monster, but this card has a unique effect that if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, then you can target a special summon monster that your opponent controls and send it to the graveyard, which is a really good effect that it doesn't destroy, it sends to the graveyard, so monsters that Dark Armed Dragon can't pop, this card can send. I then play a single copy of Chaos Dragon Levineer. This card is a really good one-of just to help you control the graveyard of how many dark monsters you have, because you can banish a total of 3 light or dark monsters from the graveyard to special summon this card to your side of the field, which is really, really good. I then play a single copy of Dark Grepher. Dark Grepher is a great one-of in here just to help you set up for Dark Armed Dragon. It has the ability that you can discard a level 5 or higher dark monster to special summon this card from your hand, and then once per turn, you can discard a dark monster from your hand to send a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is 3 dark monsters that you're sending to the graveyard to be able to summon out this card and then send one from deck, which sets you up for Dark Armed Dragon. I then play a single copy of Armageddon Knight. Armageddon Knight is a really good normal summon because when this card is summoned to your side of the field, you get to send a dark monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is extremely helpful to be able to get the exact one you need in the graveyard. I then play 3 copies of Junk Ford. Junk Ford is a really good 3-of in this particular build. It's basically a cyber dragon that if you don't control a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand to your side of the field, which is really good in this deck just to help you go in for Azul, so we can use our Bamboo Sword package to draw into Dark Armed Dragon. And then play a single copy of Infernoble Knight Renault. This is the card we're summoning off of Azold all the time to be able to grab our copy of the Cursed Bamboo Sword back out of the graveyard so we can go in for more plays. This card is a really good one-of in the deck, but you never want to see it in your hand because you want to special summon it off your copy of Azold. I then play a single copy of Kuribons. Kuribons is really good in the deck as a one-of for E-Telly, and it's a really cool throwback to what we used to summon off of Emergency Teleport, which is just super cool. And the reason I actually included this card in the deck is because it makes it super easy to go for level 8 synchros with your copy of your Bestial monsters because they are level 6, which is really nice to go in for cards like your copy of Beals, which is really nice in this build. I then play 3 copies of Psi-Reflector. Psi-Reflector is really cool in the deck as well, just as additional cards to be able to special summon off your copies of your Emergency Teleport. But this card is really good in this deck because it has the ability, if this card is normal or special summon, you get to add 1 Assault Mode Activate, or 1 card that specifically lists Assault Mode Activate in its text from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. And then you can also reveal an Assault Mode Activate in your hand and then target a monster in the graveyard that specifically lists Assault Mode Activate in its text, accept another copy of this card and special summon it to your side of the field, and increase its level by 1 to 4, which is really cool because usually you're summoning off this card your copy of Assault Beast, and it's what you're going to search off your copy of Sireflector as well, because you can just discard this card to the graveyard to be able to add Assault Mode Activate from deck to hand, letting you go for a level 8 Synchro play, which is really cool. You can go for any level of Synchro, but usually we're going for 8 with these cards. I then play some Destiny Heroes in this deck, which is also a really cool throwback to how you used to play Teledad, because you used to play a bunch of different Destiny Heroes in this deck to be able to go in with dark monsters in the graveyard. So we're going to start off with a single copy of Destiny Hero Plasma. This card is a walking skill drain for your opponent, and it's relinquished because you can target an opponent's monster, equip to this card, and it gains half the attack of that opponent's monster, which is really cool that's equipped to this card, which is an absolutely insane effect. You do have to tribute 3 monsters to special summon this card to your side of the field, but if you don't have any dark monsters in the graveyard and you just so happen to have Dark Armed Dragon in your hand, you can tribute 3 darks on your side of the field, summon this card to your field as a walking skill drain, and then throw Dark Armed Dragon on the field, which is really cool. We then play 2 copies of Destiny Hero Malicious. This card is really good just to help you get another monster on your side of the field, because you can banish this card from the graveyard to special summon another copy of itself from the deck, which is really cool and combos extremely well with our copy of our Destiny Hero Denier, which is basically like the 3rd copy of Malicious, which is super good, because if this card is normal or special summon, you can take a Destiny Hero monster from your deck, graveyard, or that's banished, and place it on top of your deck, which is usually going to be a copy of your Malicious that's banished that you're going to put back on top of the deck to be able to use the one that's in the graveyard to banish itself to summon the one you just put back on top of the deck. But this card is really good as well because it has the ability, if you have a Destiny or a monster on the field or in the grave other than this card, you can special summon this card from the grave, but you can only use that effect once per duel, which is totally fine for this card. I then play a single copy of Dark Angel. Dark Angel is a great one-of in this deck because it can basically Imperial Order your opponent, because we will easily put 3 Destiny Heroes in the graveyard off of Fusion Destiny and our copy of Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer to be able to then give this card to the opponent so that they can't activate spell effects, which is super good. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Rhoda. Rhoda is just really good as a one-of in this deck to be able to search any of the warriors that we need, like our copies of Dark Grepher, Armageddon Knight, and even our copies of Dark Angel in case we need to. We then play 3 copies of Emergency Teleport. Emergency Teleport is the main focus of the deck that we're using for E-Tele, which is just really cool to special summon out our copy of Karibons to our side of the field to go for level 8 Synchros, or Sireflector for the Assault Mode package. I then play 3 copies of Fusion Destiny. Fusion Destiny is just really good to end your combos with, and it sets up for Dark Armed Dragon super easily, which is really nice about this deck. So this card is a definite 3-0 because you just basically send 2 of your Destiny Hero monsters from deck to graveyard to Fusion Summon into one of the most powerful Fusion monsters ever created, Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. We then play 3 copies of Cursed Bamboo Sword. This is so that we can dig into the deck to get to our copies of Dark Armed Dragon, and you're basically going to use this card with your copy of Isolde, send it from your deck to the graveyard to summon out your copy of Renault. Renault will go off, and then this will go off searching a copy of our Golden Bamboo Sword, which will then let us add back our copy of Cursed Bamboo Sword off the Renault's effect, which is super good. The copy of Golden Bamboo Sword will let us basically have a Pot of Greed, which is really cool to draw 2 cards for every single copy of this card that we want to activate while we have a Bamboo Sword equip spell on our side of the field, which can be the copy of the Cursed Bamboo Sword that we added back off the copy of Renault's effect. We then play 3 copies of Allure of Darkness. Allure of Darkness is really good in this deck just to help you dig into the deck to be able to get to your copies of Dark Armed Dragon a little bit faster so that we can summon it to our side of the field. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're just going to be playing a single trap card, and then it's going to be a single copy of Assault Mode Activate. This card is just a combo piece in the deck for our copy of Sireflector and Assault Beast to be able to use their effects. You never activate this card. You never want to see it in your hand unless you search it off your copy of Assault Beast, and we're not summoning any Assault Mode monsters, which is not that big of a deal because we're just basically using this card to reveal for our copy of Sireflector's effect. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, it wouldn't be a Teledad deck without Dark Armed, the Dragon of Annihilation. So that's just a super cool monster that is basically a retrain of Dark Armed Dragon, but it's actually pretty easy to get on the field because once per turn, if you have exactly 5 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can also XZ summon this card on top of a Dark Dragon monster that's level 5 or higher, which is really cool because we do have the copies of Magnemite in the deck that we can throw this card on top of, and Druid's Worm, which is just really, really cool. It also has the ability you can detach a material from this card and then target one card that your opponent controls and destroy it, and then banish a card from your graveyard, and this card cannot attack for the rest of the turn, which is a little bit of a downside, but it's just a super cool card that we can play in this deck. And then play a single copy of Red Eyes Flare Metal Dragon, because every time your opponent breathes, they're going to take 500 points of damage. So this card is a really good one of the deck and my favorite XZ of all time. I'm then playing a single copy of Dredge Dragon. This card is a really cool new card that we got out of Darkwing Blast, and it's a really awesome card to combo with our copies of our Bestial monsters because it takes 2 level 6 monsters, so we can also use Malicious to summon out this monster to the field. It has the ability that monsters you control gain 100 attack and events for each card in your opponent's graveyard. In quick effect, you can target one card in your opponent's graveyard and detach either 1 or 2 materials from this card to activate the appropriate effect. If you detach 1 material, turn that card back to the deck, but if you detach 2, which is the effect we're usually going to use, you can basically use the effect to be able to target a monster and special summon it in face up or face down defense position to your field, and if it's not a monster, you set it to your field, which is just absolutely insane. We can basically use our opponent's graveyard as our own cards, which is cool. We then play a single copy of Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer, and definitely give us a like for the Starlight Rare. That is just too cool. This card is really good. It can pop a card every single turn, and for every hero in the graveyard, your opponent's monsters are going to lose 200 attack points. So this card is super easy to summon with your copy of Fusion Destiny, which is why we're playing this card as a one of. And plus, with your copies of Fusion Destiny, you're going to be able to send 2 dark monsters from deck to graveyard, and then this card can pop a card on the field, giving you the 3rd dark monster in the graveyard, which makes it super easy to summon Dark Armed Dragon later on in the game. We then play a single copy of Baron de Fleur. Baron de Fleur is really easy to summon in this deck, and it's just a really good walking negate. We play a single copy of Beals. Beals is actually my favorite synchro of all time, which is really cool to be able to summon it in this deck. It can be destroyed by battle or by card effects, and when you take battle damage from an attack involving this card, or your opponent inflicts effect damage to you, this card gains attack equal to the damage you took, which is really cool because this card can get massive. And then play a single copy of Void Ogre, because if we don't have any cards in our hand, we can negate spells and traps, which is really cool. One copy of Draco Berserker, because this card is just really good as a level 8 synchro monster to be able to just go in and attack your opponent's monsters, because when your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish it, which is really cool because it can handle the cards that Dark Armed Dragon can't, but it also has the ability that if this attacking card destroys an effect monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, this card gains the attack of the destroyed monster's original attack, and can make a second attack on a monster during that battle phase, which is a super good effect. We then play a single copy of Dawn Dragster. This card is super good because it is a spell and trap negate. One copy of Stardust Charge Warrior because it is a draw 1 when it's synchro summon. 2 copies of Skull Dread. This is just so we can dig into the deck because it's super easy to put multiple monsters on the field in this deck, and you can actually make 2 Skull Dreads in a single turn, which is really nice. We play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, IP to be able to summon Unicorn during the opponent's turn, and a copy of Isolde because it is a key combo piece in the deck to be able to use with our Bamboo Sword engine and our Dark Warriors that we're playing in the deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy this. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played with a Teledad deck, you guys should definitely give this deck a try. It's one of my favorite decks to be able to play because it summons out my signature monster and my favorite monster of all time, Dark Armed Dragon. So anyways, guys, this is Dark Armed Duels. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of our notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.